Hey YouTube, it's Emma Blue 10 here, and welcome to deck building for general cards, staple cards, meta cards. I suppose that's what I could call it. I've had a lot of people requesting help with their deck builds and everything recently. It's been mainly dragon decks, and I have been redirecting them towards the Blue Eyes Dragons advice deck building videos that I've already done. But I thought I'd do this one for general staple cards and everything because a lot of the deck lists I have seen have quite a lot of specific cards in them. In other words, cards that can only be activated under a certain condition. And I thought I'd do something like this just to help you guys out, give you like my thoughts, my experience on this. If you guys want any more of these kind of videos, please post down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And, well, let's get started, shall we? Okay, my thoughts and processes on building decks, right? The first question you need to ask yourself is, what do you want the deck to do? What is the win condition of your deck? For example, you know the win condition of my deck, once I find her. I should have really got this card ready before I did anything. My deck can win in many ways, but my absolute top favourite winning condition of my deck is, of course, Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. As soon as she gets out, 9 times out of 10, she tends to win the game for me. So, a win condition could be anything. It could be a theme you're playing, it could be a certain monster you're trying to get on the field, or a certain combo you're trying to get done. That sort of thing. You need to ask yourself, what is the win condition of your deck, or what do you want the win condition of your deck to be? And then once you've got that figured out, you can start looking at things like the theme of the deck. Does this card or win condition or combo have a theme to it? If not, what cards do you use to get yourself there? These kind of questions are really important in deck building because that's how you can make your deck work really well or test deck ideas out and everything, that sort of thing. But what I find best is my deck has the win condition of Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, and I have got the steps to get her there. But before my deck became what it is today, I did used to run quite a few specific cards. Now, as I said before, a lot of the deck lists I was being sent, I noticed immediately the problem was too many specific cards. In other words, cards that can only be activated under certain conditions. And whether you're playing fun or competitively, too many specific cards isn't very good. I know because I've been there. When my deck was first started, I did have a lot of specific cards in there, which in some fun duels I did really well against. But when I wanted to play more seriously, not just in the competitive side but also on the fun side, these specific cards started to become a hindrance. In all honesty, so I tried limiting myself down to 1 or 2, but now in the deck itself, as you've seen, the only 2 specific cards that are not good for drawing in the whole deck pretty much are just the Polymerization and Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. Everything else is as general as possible, so that no matter what situation it is, I can use that card, if you see what I mean. And I think that's what most deck building should be about. You've got your win condition, but everything else should be as general as possible, so that no matter what the situation is, you can still use your cards. There's nothing wrong with using specific cards. If it's got a theme to it, then yeah, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. I would love to run more specific cards such as Burst Stream of Destruction and things like that because they're pretty cool and they're pretty badass. But unfortunately, my deck doesn't work out like that. Unfortunately. So I think that would be the first bit of advice I would give you is find out the win condition of your deck, see the theme, combo, cards that can help get towards it, and then add in as many general staple cards as possible. Now, I've had some people ask me, why are you using meta cards instead of staple cards and everything? Right. As far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Staple cards are termed as cards that can be used by nearly every single deck that's out there, whether it's competitive or fun, or both. So things I'm talking about are like Monster Reborn. I'll actually show you some of the staple cards I run in the deck, and then I can show you meta staple cards, which I'll talk about later. So Monster Born can literally be used in nearly every deck because it can resurrect from both sides. Gold Sarcophagus, again, most decks tend to use it. You don't have to use these cards. I mean, if you've got other ways of using these cards, then you go right ahead and do it. And also things like, Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, MST. I think these 4 cards here actually. Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, MST, and Monster Born. These 4 cards are staple cards for nearly every deck because every deck can use them no matter what the situation, and they benefit the player who uses them if you use them to their maximum efficiency. Trap cards, for another staple cards, trap cards I would say would be like things like Torrential Tribute, Mirror Force, Solemn Judgment, and Call to Hundred. Again, nearly every single deck can use these kind of cards, and I think they're some of the main cards in deck building. Again, you don't have to run these cards if you want to use something else. But these are staple cards for decks. They're not meta cards. Oh, I don't deem them as meta cards because they don't. I suppose the best way I could describe the meta cards is that they don't help to win the game in the competitive side, if you see what I mean. Meta is mainly competitive side. Okay, fun decks and everything don't fall into that category, but the same deck building thoughts and processes still apply to both sides, no matter where you're doing. Or if you're playing in the middle, like me, like I play fun, but I can also play competitively. Okay, so those kind of cards are staples. There are some archetypes and some themes that have very similar cards which are staples for their theme, and again, there is nothing wrong with using them if you don't want to use these kind of staple cards. Now, meta cards, I would class them more as cards that help competitive builds win games as much as possible. So I'm talking about things like, say, Pot of Duality. I would also consider this a staple for most decks nowadays as well, because it is a very good card. It can fit into almost any deck, but it's still expensive to a certain degree. So I would only recommend it if you really, really want to use it, in honest truth. But anyway, other cards that I can suggest that are sort of staple meta cards that are used by the big competitive builds are things like Max C, Effect Veiler, Rescue Rabbit, I would say, Judgment Dragon, Judgment Dragon for the Light Sworns and everything. These are all kind of meta staples. In other words, they're used in nearly most competitive builds in order to win games and everything. And then there's meta themed cards that are staples, such as, for example, I'm just going to show you the Light Sworn since that's the only meta build I've got. For example, Judgment Dragon is the main staple for Light Sworn decks because it's the win condition of that deck. And some people have been slammed for not running the maximum amount of Judgment Dragon or whatever, but it's like, it's their deck, let them build it the way they want. It's the same with my Blue Eyes deck. I'm building it the way I want. I'm not going down the typical meta route of, Chaos, Hopeless, or Disaster Dragon. Of course, there's also themed staple cards, such as Draw Power or just Monster Destruction and everything. For the Light Sworns, they've got Solar Recharge and Charge of the Light Brigade, which are basic staples for the Light Sworn theme. I'm really sorry about the glare, guys. There's nothing I can do about that. They're staple meta cards because they help the deck to win and get to its win condition. So yeah, I hope that helps you out, guys. That's all I can do for this segment, at least. As I said, post down in the comments below if I've got any of the information about meta and staples and that wrong, because I'm doing my absolute best here to help you guys with this. And as I said, I really hope you enjoyed this. If you want me to do more of these kinds of videos, let me know. And we'll take care, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!